Hey everybody, welcome back. So, by now you're probably aware that I have been releasing some videos lately, starting with the 3 things that changed in your guitar journey. Today, I'm posting 3 things that I wish I had not ignored in the early part of my guitar journey. Okay? So just like the other videos, I welcome your comments. If there are some things that you wish that you had paid more attention to or had known about even in the early part of your journey, please send them below in the comments, because there's other people as part of our community that are going to learn from some of your responses, all right? So let's get started, because we got a lot to cover today. Here we go. All right, thing number 1 that I wish that I had started to implement sooner, and that is the use of my pinky. Yeah, the little guy at the end of the road is such a valuable little tool. It can do little things. It's like putting the touches on that great meal you just cooked, or the finishing touch of paint around the painting that you just painted, all right? So let's look at it that way. Now, where and how does the pinky sort of come into play? Well, when you're starting out, it doesn't, because you're really coming out of boot camp. Boot camp is where you learn, how to fret your chords, how to transition between 1, 2, or 3, or 4 open chords, or whatever chords that you're learning. And the pinky isn't really involved at that point in time, okay? Then you're going to start playing basic versions of your song in GCD and GAD and AEDs and things like that. And then as you progress, you're going to start seeing chords on your Google chord sheet or Ultimate Guitar or wherever it is you're going to get your information. And you're going to start seeing things like a pinky on the E minor, or on your A chord, or down here on your D chord. And you're gonna be asked to just sort of dot it like that, okay? I even use it as a pull-off on that D. No fretting, I just pull off, and it's actually a G note that I'm pulling off, right? That will sneak into your repertoire. Now, don't do what I did and say, oh, that's kind of uncomfortable and it hurts because the pinky is so sensitive. So I just played an A, and I just played a D, and I just played an E and an E minor for years, and I never bothered to put it down for my C or my G or anything like that, okay? And then I realized that I was missing out, because a lot of times when you're watching someone play or listening to a song that you want to learn, and you hear something like this, and you're thinking, oh, what chord are they going to after the D? It sounds higher. And I'd rack my brain, and it wasn't until I figured out all they were doing was just putting their pinky down and taking advantage of that high G right there. That's it, okay? So the pinky comes into play when you start expanding your repertoire of open chords, which you're going to do when you start getting a little better and taking on maybe some different types of songs. Right? Okay, so that's the first and foremost. You should have a little bit of callus on your pinky. Maybe not as heavy as your other fingers, but that shows that your pinky is in play. Now, the other way that the pinky came up, which I hated and completely ignored, was when I first learned my scale, my first scale, the first scale I think almost all of us learn, and that's your minor pentatonic shape. And in my case, it was here at A. And of course, the note is A to C. Well, I didn't like the way that felt. I had no strength in the pinky, because it takes a while to build it up, right? And I had no touch and feel with it. Not that I did with all my other fingers, but you know what I mean. I had already been using my other fingers to play chords, and it just felt a little more natural. So what I did on those stretch out, the pentatonic stretch out where you got to go literally 4 frets to get that other note, I started pivoting my whole hand and using my ring finger. And it became my go-to way. So as I was learning these scale shapes and even moving them a little bit, I was using this finger and moving my whole hand. And to be honest, it slowed me down. It resulted in a lot of misses where I'd hit the buzz on the fret wire, or something along those lines. Okay, and then of course watching YouTube one day, there's someone with that, I don't know what they call that exercise, where they assign, I think it's the spider or something. You assign a finger to each 4 frets and you move up and down the fretboard, right? And I found that impossible. It hurt me. I didn't like it. Not only did it hurt me from the end of my finger, but it's trying to stretch out, because I didn't realize that as you play guitar, right, your hand is going to adjust. It's going to get stronger. It's going to get more dexterity in the fingers. You're going to be able to move it in different ways. That's just natural. But I didn't know that because nobody told me. So I figured, well, if I can't do that on day 1, I'm not going to be able to do it on day 401. So why bother? Okay? Do not do this, right? Do not do this. Don't make this mistake, because if you watch any of my live streams when I'm not really talking about guitar, but sometimes I just go on and play music, or I play to backing tracks, you'll notice that more often than not, when I get in the heat of the moment, I use this ring finger instead of my pinky. It's a horrible habit. I can't break it. I can get away from it for a while, but it just comes right back to my ring finger. So don't make the same mistake I did. Pay attention to your pinky, include it in your repertoire, and you will be forever rewarded. All right? So that was number 1. All right, number 2, the right hand. Okay, now I'm going to make a bold statement here and say it is all about the right hand. Okay, so I'm going to be making a video about the right hand. So today we're just going to touch on a few things, but there will be an in-depth video coming on a lot of these techniques that you're seeing here. So basically, remember, the most important thing to know is that day 1, when you learn the guitar, you learn your open chords. Those are not going to change. All right? Yeah, there'll be some variations as you move down the line. You'll figure out you can maybe dab a finger within the chord or remove a finger from a chord, to get sort of different, or again, from putting the pinky down, right? We can get a little different voicing from the same chord, but the chord's going to be the same, day 1 to year 10. But what's going to change, and what has to change, is your right hand. So the first thing, which I didn't do, but the first thing I would recommend is the moment that you can put 2 chords together, whether it's C, D, G, C, E, A, D, A, whatever those chords are, turn your attention to your right hand. Now, some will say, well, wouldn't you be better off learning all the open chords first? Well, you're not really going to be any further ahead. And bear with me. You could take 2 or 3 chords, okay, that you learn at the beginning. And by focusing on your right hand, you could play those 3 chords. We could use some, what they call bass strumming, where I pick out the bass notes. I can use arpeggios. I can reduce my overall impact on the strings by working on my touch. Make them sound a little softer. In this case, I was just plucking those treble strings at the bottom of the chord, right? Okay. We can use some palm muting, which we've talked about in other videos. Some people play percussive, so you turns your right hand into a drummer. I mean, that's just basic, but it gives you the idea, right? So your right hand can do a lot of things to make those same left hand chords stand out and become musical, right? So it stands to reason that And I know the mistake I made, not once, but twice. I lost over 2 years of fussing about my left hand to the point where I completely disregarded my right hand. So what happened was, I've been playing 6, 7 months, and I'm actually playing songs like this. See, I put the odd up in there, and that took me a while. Other than that, it was all this. So technically, I was playing all the proper chords of the song. I was playing the song, and if I sang along, you'd know what song I was playing, but it was just rudimentary. It wasn't until a long time later that I realized that I could control the voicing of the chord by using my right hand. Now, you don't want to use a pick? No problem. Again, same chords. Right? It's all about the right hand. So don't neglect it, because it is the fastest way to turn the first 2 or 3 chords that you learn into music. So instead of waiting years to go through the motions of learning all your open chords, learning your bar chords, learning all these advanced techniques that you really don't need, within months, you could be taking 2 or 3 chords with some good right hand technique and turn them into music right away. All right, so that for me was looking back, was the number 2 thing that I really, really wish. It cost me well over 2 years of time before I brought my right hand to where it should be. Number 3. Now, many will say, if maybe all will say, that this is the most important thing. And this is something I completely avoided for the longest time, all right? Because every time I tried to, I just shut down because I couldn't do it. And that is playing with another guitarist or musician. So important. You're playing with a human. You're following a human who's playing guitar. So things could happen. They could fall a little bit out of time. So you have to rely on your ears to tell your brain that, hey, this guy or girl is sort of off. I've got to adapt to keep the integrity of the music. And that's something that you can't get from automation, right? Because you're actually relying on another human to carry the tempo and the time and things like that. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you hope that that person is a much better guitar player than you, so that way you can learn, you can watch, you can ask questions. So important. I know what you're saying. I don't have anybody that I can play guitar with. I don't either. And I didn't either. Okay? So we need to rely on technology. And I avoided this so much because I tried it once and I couldn't do it. So like anything, I just backed away and said, I'm not going to worry about that right now. But you got to tackle it. Okay? So you're in the position, you know some open chords. I use a backing track. You can use a metronome. You can use a drum machine. You can use a click track. Something that keeps time. Right? Now there's fast and there's slow. There's tick, 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 or there's tick, tick, tick. Whatever your comfort level is. 80, 90 beats per minute should be comfortable for a beginner or someone who's been playing for a few months. So what you're going to do is you're going to start your click track, and you are going to play your chords on the downstrokes on the click. Click, 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 right? Okay, then as you get comfortable, you're going to listen for the chords and the changes, and you're going to start implementing, slowly but surely, more sophisticated strumming patterns, some down-ups or 1 and 2 and 3 ands, however you want to phrase it, and stay in time to your backing track. All right, so I'm using a backing track from a channel here on YouTube called My Backing Tracks. Now, It's not my backing tracks. That's just the name of the channel. They got some good stuff. I use them quite a bit for practice as well as demonstrations like this. So check them out. Put the link in the description of the video, okay? So we're going to start it out. It's basic. It's about 85, 90 beats per minute, which is perfect for anyone in the first year of playing. It's not too overwhelming. And the chords are all simple, right? They're A, E, and D. Here we go. We'll start simple. All downs. Now we can get a little bit. We're changing on the downs. Okay, so don't be afraid now to unleash whenever you're ready. Always remembering to think about touch and feel on the strings. So as you can see, I mean, it is going to take a little time. It might take some of you a day, a week, or longer. Don't get discouraged because this is vital. Then, you know, down the line, you're going to be at a party, you're going to be at a jam, you're going to be somewhere, and all of a sudden this isn't overwhelming anymore. Your ears know that they got to do their job. Your brain is doing the job. When things are overwhelming, we get tight and it clams up. By practicing like this, even if it's a live band, even if it's just a drummer, you've laid the foundation and things will be a lot easier from here. All right, so let me know what you thought of my 3 things that I regret. And more importantly, please let me know if there are 1, 2, or 3 things that you regret learning in your journey. Because remember, we're all different at the end of the day. We all seek to have different outcomes, play different types of music. So, hey, some of us are electric, some of us are acoustic. So please let me know what, if any, you have regrets about your early beginner's guitar journey and something that you really wish that you had learned earlier. Because we have a community here that follows, right? And they're going to learn from the comments when someone says, hey, what about this? This is what I regret, and explain it so we can all have a read, right? Okay, and finally, as usual, thank you so much for your ongoing support. And if you really want to support the channel, and you think I can help you out in the future, first of all, go through my library. It's quite expensive, or quite extensive. It's not expensive, it's cheap, it's free, but it's quite extensive. There's some really interesting little hacks and tidbits of information in there that can definitely help you, okay? And then the best way to support is to hit the subscribe button, and even that little bell thing. I think that's still relevant because I do multiple live streams every week. And you're welcome to come and join, say hello, sit back and watch, add your 2 cents in, engage with other community members, and it can be a really cool time. And it could be a lesson, it could be I'm just jamming like today to backing tracks, it could be I'm just practicing and I'm showing you how I do it, invite you to practice along. So you'll get notified if you're a subscriber. So please take the time to do that. It's so much appreciated, all right? And the most important thing, just play your guitar. That's how you get better.